Dane, and what you just heard was the Glarry GST electric guitar. Now, while this guitar may look a lot like a Strat, it is at a much lower price point than its Fender or even its Squier counterpart at only $60. Now, I was pretty cautious to be buying something that cheap, especially an instrument off eBay that was an off-brand. I kind of expected to get a shovel in the mail, but I was super relieved to open up the package and find an actual playable instrument in it. So quick spec rundown, it has a basswood body, a maple neck and fretboard. The tuners and bridge, I'm not sure what kind of metal it is, but it's kind of a cheap metal, and the nut is plastic. So some pros and cons. Cons are that the hardware feels pretty cheap. The bridge and saddle specifically, the metal is not that great, and it definitely has given me some issues using the whammy bar. Whenever I use it more than just a little bit, it will throw the guitar out of tune, and it did give me some trouble intonating it when I first opened it. I kind of had to push the saddle as close to as far as they would be able to go just to intonate it for standard tuning, so I'm not sure I would have been able to intonate it if I was experimenting with drop tunings on this guitar. Some other cons are that the fretboard and neck don't feel like there's a sealant on it. They're sanded very smooth, but you can generally tell when there's an additional sealant layer on top, and I don't believe it has it. And it has caused a lot of gunk to show up on that fretboard from less playing and less time than some other guitars I've owned. And that you can definitely tell that the fretboard wood is a completely different piece than the neck because they did not try to match the colors at all. The fretboard is clearly a lighter maple than the rest of the neck. The fret metal, there was a little bit of sproutage past the edge of the fretboard when I first opened it up. It wasn't that bad, but after the guitar sat for a few days in the temperature and humidity of the room that it was regularly in, that fret sprout got a lot worse, and I did end up needing to file that down quite a bit. The only other real con I can think of is that the volume knob is placed a little bit too close to the bridge, so if I'm doing any kind of strumming work, I do occasionally hit the volume knob with the side of my hand. It could be much worse. I have definitely played guitars where the volume knob was up closer to the middle, where you're playing even if you're just doing regular picking, but it could definitely be better as well. So some pros. The body is very lightweight. Prior to checking the spec sheet, I actually thought the wood might have been balsa or something because it was so light. But it is basswood, and I can tell when I play. It has a very nice tone that is reminiscent of other Squier or Fender Strats that use the basswood body. The pickups actually don't suck, neither do these pots or selector. They're not high quality, but they do feel pretty good, and I've had no issues with them in the months I've owned the guitar. It comes with a strap, a cable, picks, and Allen keys, which is excellent to get all of that starter kit type stuff at such a low price point. The neck profile is much thinner than most Strats. It's which I personally like. I have small hands, so I, especially for lead playing, I prefer that thinner neck profile. Another thing I like better than typical Strats is that it has a 22nd fret, which is great if you do any kind of lead playing to have that extra room to play around with. It holds tunes surprisingly well. If I'm not using the whammy bar, I really have no issues with the tuning pegs holding the tune, despite the fact that the metal they're made of is kind of cheap. I play it regularly, and I have yet to have any issues with that. But the most important thing is, how does it sound? All in all, I think this is much better than the price point. Remember, it's only $60. It is way better than I expected it would be, and I'm very happy with it. It would be excellent for anyone just starting out who isn't sure if they want to make the investment. Even most starter kit guitars like a Squier Strat can be upwards of $200 sometimes, which isn't a lot when it comes to the instrument world, but for anyone who's not in the instrument world, that can be a pretty big investment, so it's a great alternative to those, or anyone looking for a project guitar if you wanted to swap out the pickups, swap out the hardware, and potentially have something you could build on that would be really nice. So tell me what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. And if you want to hear the full song of the Glarry in a mix, you can click the video right here.